Imagine a massive statue that has been standing right in the middle of the ocean for over a century, welcoming people from all across the globe. Today, we're diving into the incredible engineering, history, and science behind the Copper Beacon of Liberty.
It's kind of wild to think about, right? A colossal monument just braving the elements, surrounded by water for over 100 years. It is the ultimate symbol of American freedom and democracy. But how on earth did it actually get there? Let's get into part 1, France's Great Gift, taking a look at a truly monumental friendship in the 1880s. So, back in the 1880s, France decided to give America this massive structure to commemorate their friendship. Now, the beautiful exterior was designed by the French sculptor Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, but the inside, the heavy-duty iron framework holding the whole thing up, that was engineered by Gustave Eiffel. And yes, that is literally the exact same Eiffel who went on to build the famous Eiffel Tower.
Moving right along to Section 2, the ultimate jigsaw puzzle, shipping an absolute giant.
The outside of this amazing structure is actually made from really thin sheets of copper. And get this, every single piece was shaped completely by hand. But obviously they had a huge problem. How do you get this giant across the ocean? Well, the answer was to break it down. They dismantled the whole thing into over 350 separate pieces just to pack it up.
It was basically the world's most intense puzzle. First, all those copper sheets were painstakingly shaped by hand over in France. Then, they were broken down into those 350-plus parts and shipped all the way across the Atlantic. Once they finally arrived, they reassembled the entire thing, piece by piece, on a massive pedestal built right in New York Harbor.
Just to put this timeline into perspective for you, France first decided to gift the statue back in 1880. By the mid-1880s, the parts were braving the ocean while that huge pedestal was being constructed in New York. Finally, after months of exhausting work putting it all back together, they held a grand inauguration on October 28, 1886.
All right, part 3, an inside look in the green secret. Time for some engineering and chemistry.
If you actually step inside, it's not just an empty shell. It houses this super strong steel framework and a massive spiral staircase that takes you way up to the top. And once you reach the crown, there are exactly 25 windows up there, giving you this absolutely breathtaking panoramic view of the entire harbor.
But here's the really crazy twist. When we picture this statue today, we immediately think of that iconic green color, right? Well, when it was first built, it wasn't green at all. Because it was covered in those copper sheets, it actually shined like a brand new copper penny.
So how exactly did it go from shiny copper to green? It all comes down to a cool chemical reaction called a patina. Patina is simply a green layer that forms on copper over time when it's exposed to air and moisture. Decades of salty ocean wind and weather chemically transform the metal, giving us the famous green landmark we know today.
Which brings us to our final section, freedom and hope. How the legacy lives on. Today, this structure is so much more than just a giant piece of copper. It stands as a powerful, enduring symbol of freedom, hope, and new life. Millions of people travel from all over the world every single year just to see it, cementing its place as one of the most recognizable landmarks on the planet.
So I've got to ask, did you ever realize that this giant green symbol of freedom used to literally shine like a new penny? And as it stands out there in the harbor for another 100 years, you really have to wonder, what other secrets is it hiding? Thanks so much for joining me on this journey. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.